All right, friends, no matter where you are, no matter when you are, good morning. So as you can see, I'm in my classroom today. I'm also going to be using my phone as my microphone because I forgot my microphone at home. We're all human. But let's dive right into it. I got some angry fish eating at the Krusty Krab here today. That was our recommended background last week in the comment section, was somewhere in Bikini Bottom. So we got the Krusty Krab with some angry fish. All right, up first is something that is quite interesting. We have a new bill as of May this year that requires Michigan restaurants to start paying their workers minimum wage. Now, if you did not know, restaurants work like this. You get paid very little. It's like if you don't make a certain amount of money in tips in a day, they have to give you their minimum wage, which is like $3 an hour or less at some places, and at some places it's more as well. But a lot of people at restaurants make really good money off of tips. I mean, I have a family member that works at, I still work there, that works at a restaurant in town that, during especially the fall, on a weekend that has football, they can make $500 a day plus. But if this came into action, it could be less because it'll be hourly. Now, the idea right now is that starting pretty soon, I think in the next 5 years here, people will be getting paid at least $12 an hour, minimum wage being $12.50 an hour at the early start of next year, if possible. Now, what's important about this is this will increase it to about $15 an hour, which is what minimum wage is in Michigan. But it'll be really interesting how people react to this because the idea is to eventually phase out tipping. But it has become so accustomed in our society to tip that many people are wondering, well, will tipping go away? And the idea is being, well, they want you to stop tipping if they eventually get to this full hourly wage. You're going to hear multiple arguments about this story as we continue. You're going to hear people talking about, well, if they're not going to tip anymore, they're not going to make as much, which is very potentially true. And also, if you're doing hourly wage, won't restaurants have to increase the prices of their food? Yeah, very potentially. So this story is really interesting because you have the people at the top, our lawmakers, deciding this action. And it'll be really interesting to see, once this goes into full effect, how people feel about it, whether you're a worker or somebody who eats at a restaurant. But this is something that some restaurants are already going to start moving towards. They are going to figure out how can we get here sooner to test it out. Some restaurants are going to really hold on and not do it until they're forced to. So I just think this story is pretty interesting overall, and I'm really interested to see where it goes over time. So this one's a really important story. January 6th. If you do not remember, this is when a bunch of people charged the Capitol under the influence of many political leaders, including former President Donald Trump. Allegedly, I should probably say, even though it's in the court of law to be proven. But people that have started seeing the court case ramifications, in other words, people are starting to see, especially our gentleman above from Kentucky, is going to receive 4 years in a prison due to breaking felony charges. Assaulting a Capitol. There was people working there. People had to fear for their lives. People took in weapons inside of here. They attacked people. And yet, a lot of people didn't think anything would ever come with this, including those who were at the riot. A lot of them thought that they'll just be fine. Well, there's video footage. People posted on their social medias they were going. People posted the social medias the aftermath. Like, how do you expect to do a crime and just get away with it, especially if you're posting about it? Obviously, don't do crime. But, seriously? So, it'll be really interesting. This starts a huge litigation trail. Now that one person has been charged for it, we have defense attorneys and juries asking, well, can't we just apply this to others? Why is this not being applied to all? In fact, he faced 6 charges in felony court. So this is leading a lot of other people to go, well, now the precedence has been set. This case has already been decided. We can use this case to help us decide other cases of this similar vein or from the exact same riot. So it'll be interesting to see how people take this case. I believe, commit a crime, do the time. Pretty simple. We should be helping out our fellow country peoples, not just choosing one side and rioting when we don't get our way. That sounds kind of like something a toddler would do. But who am I to say? I don't know. So this is really, really important. It is. I know I'm kind of making jokes and making light of it, but in reality, this is massive. This is a massive court case that's going to have a lot of fallout. It is going to have a lot of follow-up stories as well. So I wanted to make sure we got that in our mix. If you haven't heard by now, there are some astronauts kind of stranded in space until February of next year, and this was not the plan. So Boeing has been trying to get their Starcrafts up for some time. Boeing is also the airplane company that the doors have been flying off a lot this past year. Little A, little B. There's a line there that makes some connections make sense. So yeah, our astronauts heard some strange noises while they're in space. They're at the ISS, International Space Station. But Boeing has openly committed to the fact that, yeah, they're stuck until probably around February of 2025. Now, that's not something you want to hear as an astronaut in space. You don't want to hear ongoing issues of creating an issue. And now, NASA was reached out to and asked, will you go get them? And NASA said, we can, but it's not really, And then they were asked, well, what about SpaceX, Elon Musk's private company? Will you reach out to them to go get these astronauts? And they said, well, we can. So that's kind of where we're at. Between Boeing and NASA, it's really interesting to hear, okay, when are we going to go get them? Are they just stuck there? So luckily they're at the ISS, the International Space Station. They have food and all that. In fact, this woman right here has been on the ISS multiple times. So it's good to have somebody, a veteran in the game up there during an awful event. But nonetheless, it's kind of upsetting to hear them just, the response, oh, we could go get help, but we could also wait till February 2025. So hopefully we hear an update on this before February 2025. Now I want to jump to our last story. This is a super positive one, friends. Imagine UCLA Berkeley, college in California. They decide we're so sick of 80% of our world's plastics ending up in landfills or oceans. So what do? They invent a 2-year-long process that helps convert these plastics into other plastics that can be made into new plastics. In other words, rather than them just sitting and burning up ozone layers, burning up our Mother Earth, you can now burn them up using propane and create propane plastics. They're actually called polymers. I just said that wrong. Holy cow. But nonetheless, this is something super awesome, helping create plastics that could not be used previously into making them into new plastics again rather than just sitting around in a landfill. Now, I don't know if people remember that this is always above my head right here, but Trash Island is very real. And I would love to see this not occurring much longer. So, this study, once it gets fully finished, fully published, it's going to be awesome. They will publish the details on August 29th, so that just passed. Details are being passed off to people. It is very exciting, the idea of being able to turn these ocean plastics and landfill plastics into reusable hydrocarbons, into reusable plastic molds. I genuinely am so excited about this story. You have no idea, and it makes me so happy to share this with you all. And I'm really excited to see this research as it develops. This is something that will not be like instantaneous. Sorry for that loud spike, but this is something that is massively important. So I had to share it. I am so excited about this story, friends, and I'm so excited to have stopped and recorded another video this week. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more consistent, but if not, it won't be long breaks in between, and I'll keep the content coming. And I'm going to try to make some new content, as I've already stated before. I've been writing some scripts and some ideas, and if you have ideas for historical topics you would love me to talk about, you know how I can get about my history topics. I can love it, and I can go crazy with it. So if you got ideas, hit me up with it. Let me hear what you got. We can make it a reality. And with that, until next time, friends, I'll see ya.